Today, we're taking another look at Super Mario Sunshine. More specifically though, the boss battles. I'm going to be ranking each boss battle within 3 categories: how fun the boss battle is, how challenging it is, and how creative it is. Keep in mind that everything I say is my opinion. If you disagree on something, feel free to leave a comment and we can have a discussion maybe. With all that said, let's start the video. The first real boss of this game is Piranha, and boy, what a disappointment. This battle is so bland, it's so boring and easy. Petey has like one attack. He opens his mouth and vomits, but he pretty much never gets to vomit because you just spray him with water whenever he opens his mouth. I'm giving Petey a 0 out of 5, a 1 out of 5, and a 2 out of 5. I think this fight should have had more to it. Maybe there could have been platforms along the lighthouse walls for Mario to jump up and ground pound on Petey's head. I don't know, anything to help this fight be less boring. Great, you have to fight this guy again. Well, at least this time you actually move around, but that might not be a good thing. This fight has some really stupid camera angles where Mario gets behind buildings and you can't even see what's going on. I really do hate this fight, so I'm giving it a 0 out of 5 for fun. This fight is definitely more challenging than the first fight because Petey actually flies around the level, and there are some really stupid camera angles and annoying enemies that get in the way of completing the fight smoothly. For those reasons, it gets a 3 out of 5 for challenging. This is a recycled boss. It's not creative. Sure, Petey flies around this time and has tornado powers, whoa! But it's stupid and unfulfilling. We literally saw Petey die and decompose into a pile of shit with our very eyes. You're telling me our efforts mean nothing, and no matter what we do, enemies can just reappear? Lame. 1 out of 5. Gooperblooper is probably the most fun boss fight in this game because you are constantly in action. There is no waiting, there's no stupid camera angles, it's just you and Gooper. You control how quickly you defeat him. You can go for that speedrun strat and only pull on the nose, or you could take out a few of the tentacles first. I give this boss battle a 4 out of 5 for fun. As for how hard it is, it's not. Perhaps a new player might struggle with this fight, but I didn't struggle at all, resulting in a 1 out of 5 for challenging. This boss battle is definitely creative as it keeps to the theme of the level with its blooperness and makes good use of the grab mechanic, which is why I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Fighting Gooperblooper twice is definitely a letdown, since it shows the lack of creativity again like in Bianco Hills with Petey Piranha. But somehow it's even worse, as the mechanics of the boss fight don't even change. They just change the location. But it is on a helicopter pad, which is pretty dope. Which is why I'm giving it a 5 out of 5, a 2 out of 5, and a 1 out of 5. Alright, this boss is pretty random, to be honest, because there's just a random caterpillar on Gelato Beach, and then it turns into a boss, which is fine, it's just random. This boss isn't particularly fun. I think it's a neat concept that in order to get the boss vulnerable, you have to spray those seed thingies with water. The fight is also difficult at times because you have to time your spray just right, otherwise you may not hit the wiggler, which then you have to wait for it to loop back around. So I'm giving it a 1 out of 5, a 3 out of 5, and a 4 out of 5. The Mecha Bowser boss fight is actually really cool, especially for a first time player. Chasing Shadow Mario and then seeing the cutscene where the pool of water splits in 2 and seeing Mecha Bowser emerge really is epic. But as someone who isn't a new player, and judging the boss fight itself, the fight is alright. I think the only challenge is how bad the camera control is on the roller coaster, and how it's really hard to aim FLUDD, which can be quite frustrating. I do think that shooting rockets at a giant robot is cool though, which is why I'm scoring this boss battle a 3 out of 5, a 2 out of 5, and a 5 out of 5. This was a unique boss battle. I will give them that. It was an interesting concept. I just think it was executed horribly. The underwater movement mechanics really ruined this boss fight. You spend so much time just sinking to the bottom to finally fight the eel, and you're already losing health because you've been drowning for so long, so you gotta stop to grab coins and then go to the fight. The fight itself is pretty dumb because the eel just goes into the ground and spews bubbles out, which doesn't do anything except waste time so that you drown even more and then have to go grab coins again. Something cooler would have been a visual cue that the eel is gonna go for a chomping attack or something, and you have to get out of the way or you'd get hurt. The fight itself isn't fun because you're just spraying the teeth. There's no real harm, and you're waiting for a lot of it, so it's not challenging. I do think this was creative because it wasn't a recycled boss. I also think it fits the theme of the level, which is why I'm giving this a 0 out of 5, 2 out of 5, and 4 out of 5. The fact that you have to fight Gooperblooper for a 3rd time is pretty sad. I think the developers really missed out on making a unique boss for this area. A recycled boss battle is always disappointing. The fight is fun, sure, because I like pulling on the nose and slapping it in its face, but it's not challenging or creative. 2 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5. The Manta Ray was pretty spooky and threatening as a kid. It just shows up out of nowhere and slowly makes its way towards you. The fight itself is difficult enough that I sometimes find myself low on health. But with that being said, it's not crazy hard. It just takes a little bit of time. I wish this fight was more fun. The only thing that changes is when you get all the big mantas down to their tiny size and they come after you. It would have been cool to see something else in the fight to make it less repetitive. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5, a 3 out of 5, and a 4 out of 5. This boss fight in Serena Beach has had fans speculating as to whether or not Super Mario Sunshine was actually a prequel to Luigi's Mansion, because in this battle, you fight the King Boo. This boss fight is one of the most annoying fights ever. For me, it gets a 0 out of 5 for fun. I just do not enjoy this fight at all. There are too many stupid things that add up and frustrate the heck out of me. Sometimes when throwing the peppers, they straight up don't hit King Boo at all. And then you're forced into more enemy cycles, and if you get unlucky, you might not even get a fruit cycle right after. The RNG of the slot machine is just really stupid and annoying. With that said, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 for challenging. The fight itself isn't particularly hard because to damage King Boo, you literally just throw fruit at him. But the stupid mechanics of the fight is what makes it hard. The camera angles are so annoying, the floor spins in 3 different directions, enemies are annoying to get rid of, and the slot machine is stupid. The fight is creative though, which is why it gets a 5 out of 5. They stuck to the theme of the spooky hotel and Casino Delfino and centered the fight around King Boo and a slot machine. It was definitely a unique and cool idea. It just needed a better execution. The final boss fight in this game is where you fight Bowser, and for some reason, he's huge. This boss fight to me is quite easy, most of the time. The fight takes place at the very top of Corona Mountain, which is apparently a giant hot tub filled with green goop. I'm giving this fight a 1 out of 5 for fun, because I don't really enjoy it. A 2 out of 5 for challenging, as some playthroughs I struggle a bit with getting back onto the platform after using the rocket nozzle, and because there are a ton of bullet bills that lock onto you, which can be a little hard to dodge at times. And it gets a 2 out of 5 for creativity. I think it makes good use of the rocket nozzle, but that's it. It's the final boss battle. It should have been harder. It should have included the turbo nozzle. The battle should have shifted midway. There could have been so many cool possibilities, but instead we get some average, unfulfilling gameplay. Now, let's see the results. The most fun boss in this game, according to me, is Gooperblooper. More specifically though, the second time you fight him on top of the helipad. The most challenging boss fight is King Boo, because that fight is bull. And the most creative boss fight is actually a tie between Mecha Bowser and King Boo, as I think the mechanics of those fights are very different, which makes them unique and creative. Hey, thanks for watching that video. If you want to see more stuff like this, or you have suggestions, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what you'd like to see next. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right now I'm playing through Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Come check it out, it's pretty fun. I voiced all the characters live. You used to play it on it, not you. Come on, man. Don't do me like that. Why is this kid out here without a fucking adult? Whenever I face anything sad or hard, I just want to get far away. Now why is that? Is it because the time and distance solve all problems? Dude, this kid's like 3 years old and he's preaching some fucking Nosferatu bullshit. Do we want to put the hard things far away and behind us like yesterday's sunset? Hey, that was a pretty cool line, right? I think I'm gonna use it. What the fuck? This guy's like more well-spoken than our fucking president. No offense. Just kidding, full offense. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.